Good morning, citizens, and welcome back to the verse, and happy free fly. Hopefully it's going well for any of the new players out there in the verse taking part in the free fly. I just finished my second of the Alliance Aid missions, the ones for the defense. So we can see here I've got the defense done, got the transport done, and now we're going on to collections, which I did have a little bit in there, so I kind of know what I'm doing, and I figure this is going to be the easiest one. If you've been following along with me, this should be the easiest one for you as well. Now, if you're taking part in the free fly, you should have a Drake Golem, which is stock-wise not a bad ship. Which one of these? I guess this is the one that is part of the free fly. So I'm going to grab this one because it should be entirely stock. Now, what I mean by stock is it doesn't have any of the modules on it. So I'm going to try that one first and see if it works. I didn't change the laser because, as far as I'm aware, the Golem laser is bespoke. But it's the same as like a Helix laser, which makes it pretty solid choice. So we're going to go to our hangar, check out the Golem, and we're going to see if we can do some mining with that. Now, this is mining for this one. You can go and collect or buy or even steal the materials you need to finish these, but I think mining will be fun and it should be relatively easy. I forgot how tiny this little ship is. We're really looking at getting a few things. If I go to the contracts here, we go to the collection ones in priority, we're looking for the smaller ones here. So this one says collect 4 SU of Laranite, 3 SU of Borace, and 3 SU of Bexylite. And I think Bexylite is what I'm going for, but Laranite and Borace will work as well. But I can't recall what I'm finding around Faithful Dream, which is where I am. So I'm currently at Faithful Dreams, where my spawn is currently set, and I think we're gonna do okay. But we're gonna get into the Golem here. Unlike the Prospector or the Argo Mole, you are only able to kind of be in this cockpit. There's no real interior of the ship. There's no bed in the ship, but that's all right. We're gonna power up. So if you are new and you're trekking out the Golem, Alt R will power you up. Alt N will give you a little bit of a request for landing. N will raise your landing gear, and I like using F4 to kind of see what I'm doing when I'm exiting, just to make sure I'm not going to bash into the doors, because I'm impatient and I don't like to wait. What we're going to do is we're just going to fly away from the station. We're not even going to leave the area. I'm going to fly away, hit tab, and already we got a signal. I'm going to fly towards that signal, see what's out there, see if I can crack it with the stock Golem. If not, I personally like using Rigers to give myself a little bit of extra power. You can also use gadgets if you want. Some people use a surge, but you can see all the different signals around here. We're going to be able to find what we're looking for, which is either Laranite or Borace. I can't recall what I was finding, since this was way back before I started soloing the other tiers, and it's taken me a bit to do that. So we're going to pull out the mining beam by hitting M. That's just debris. So that is panels from a ship. So we're not going to really worry about that. We're going to keep flying. We got 2 signals here, 16 kilometers away. I know there's one's closer, but we might as well just keep heading in a straight line. I could, if I was using the scanning mode, look at this. This one here is 4,900. This one here is 4,750. If it was divisible by 2,000, it was debris, and I could have seen that that last was 2,000. But since there's so many signals out here and I'm just kind of flying anyways, it's not a big deal for me to have had to get close enough to that one to see it. Hopefully, if you're following along and you want to do this, I love the Prospector for mining, although the Argo Mole is more powerful. If you've been following along, you should have a lot of money. I'm at 5.8 million on this. Just by doing those missions. And so saving collections to last allows you to also afford the mining ship. But you could also just afford to go and buy the materials that you need, whether it's from another player, which is kind of iffy but doable, or if the stock isn't entirely sold out. So we got an E-type asteroid here. I don't know really what will be in there as a secondary material. We're hoping for something that kind of clumps together well. That way, the stuff we want is going to. I just realized something. This must be the one I had before, because it's got 0.8 SCU of materials in it. So, okay. We're gonna just keep going. We're gonna ignore that. Okay, so this one you can't extract yet because it's not purple, it's yellow. Gold and corundum. Well, you know, if we're looking for making money, gold's the way to go, but that's not what we want. That is a good asteroid, and it is, if I go back to that real quick, where is it? I've already passed it. It is easily mineable with the golems. That's good to know. All those are over 10k away at least. So we'll keep going this way. Oh, there's one down there. First thing we find, and normally Laranite, and Borase, and Bexylite are all relatively easy to mine and relatively common. They're normally not the things that miners are going for. Well, Bexylite is, but you should be able to find them, and they should be doable with a starter ship like this. So we got a P-type asteroid. The type doesn't necessarily mean you're going to find one material or another, but there's a higher chance of the secondary materials in the different types of asteroids. To get it to scan, you have to be in your mining mode, and then you have to be about 150 meters away minimum. This one's purple, which means I'll be able to extract right away if it's something I want. And this one has Terranite, which we don't need, and corundum, which we don't need. So we're going to keep moving. Where's the next closest? This one's not too far away. We'll start going to that one. This one's closer. And there's actually two signals relatively close by here, so we'll make our way towards these two signals. I like putting out a ping every once in a while just to keep the signals going so I don't lose them. I can actually see that's going to be panels here. So if I stop for a moment, that one is 8,000, see? So 8,000, oh, I'm doing the wrong thing. 8,000, even though I can see the panel there, that would have told me that those are panels. But I look over here, these ones are not panels, so we're good. So anything divisible by 2,000. There's a lot of panels over here. Why do those... Oh, maybe it's because I was looking at what's past there. That would make sense. So if you're doing a little bit of salvage, that would have been some good payday right there. Again, not what I'm looking for. I'm bypassing the gold. I'm bypassing things that I can salvage with a vulture. All we're looking for is Bexylite, Borase, Laranite. There's no pressurized ice here, I don't believe. That is one of the other ones. That is if you're in Nyx looking for the stuff there. It's relatively easy to find too, because you have to scan for I-type asteroids. I forget the signal RF signature of that, but they're even easier to find. Another E-type. We're going to see what's in this one. This is a bigger asteroid, so that's good. Let it scan. Barrel. We don't need it. Corundum, we don't need. Also says impossible. Impossible doesn't always mean impossible, but in this case, because of the size, maybe it will. It has taken me longer than I thought to find Boreas or Bexlite or Laranite. It's all. I'm wondering if these have just been all mined out because I've been doing other things. It is surprising that I haven't found a good rock yet to mine. I mean, I found good rocks to mine, just not the good for what I specifically want. I also don't know if necessarily Faithful Dream is the best place to set up base for this, because I don't recall what bonuses on the materials I'm looking for are at the other refineries. So it's maybe worth it for you to go find a refinery that gives you the bonuses that you want. Another P-type. User boost. Not always the smartest to fly straight at an asteroid. You just gotta make sure you'll be able to stop in time. Sometimes it's better to aim slightly to the side. Laranite. Now it says impossible. We're gonna try it anyways just to see. But at least we're finding what we need. Now this does seem to be impossible. This is when gadgets would help, because this would actually give you more than enough Laranite for what you need for one run. 800 or 8.5 kilometers away. Let's go to this one. But we're finding Laranite around here. Okay, so that helps. We're finding Laranite. We're only about 10 minutes in. That's not too bad, I think. Ooh, now this is what I like to find too. Clumps of asteroids. Clumps of asteroids are good because then you have more of a chance of finding what you want on multiple rocks, or at least one of the 3 that are currently here. And you can kind of be more picky when you break the rocks. So if you're finding it on multiple rocks, you can break them and then just start scooping up the higher percentages before you start getting whatever's left. Gold. Don't need it. Too far away to scan. You haven't heard there. You can kind of, I don't know if you hear it. You can hear the noise, the scanning noise when you're within range. Gold. If I was looking to get gold, finding a lot of that. This one's not scanning. There you go. Took a moment. Gold. More and more gold. All these are pretty far away. 6 kilometers. All right. Ooh. Panels. That says wreckage. The other one said debris, didn't it? Maybe not. Maybe just I didn't notice it said wreckage last time. I don't know if I'm really selling the excitement of mining with not finding what I'm looking for. I swear that when I was doing this at the beginning, before I decided to save this to last, I was finding easy peasy what I needed. It could just be luck of the draw, could be the server, could be CIG decided they wanted to make it a little bit harder and they adjusted things over the last few days. There is another impossible Laranite. It's always good to confirm that it's impossible. Because I have had impossible be mineable. But I don't know what's the limits for what can be mined with a golem. Once I do find a rock that says easy, hopefully, or challenging, I'm going to remember to take my laser power off of 100% before I start mining it. Gotta remember there's one off to the left if this one doesn't pan out. Give it a bit of a scan. Gold. I should just be collecting gold. Seems that's what's mostly in this area. Terranite I don't need. Aluminum I don't need. Gold I don't need. Let's go to this one. I don't know why I'm choosing this one over another one. No rhyme, no reason. At least I'm moving away from the station. It's always safer to mine away from a station. Now I wonder if it's possible to have a fire in the golem like I did in my prospector. Considering there's really not much of an interior except for a cockpit, hopefully that's not the case. Oh, try not to hit it. One of my ships way over there. Laranite impossible. Why am I finding... You know what? I'm thinking maybe without any modules, the golem might not just be up to the task. And so when I'm finding ones that I want, they're impossible. So I might have to come back to this with some gadgets or the prospector. Or go to a place with smaller rocks, something like on a planet, because these are all pretty big rocks. But it just could be the issue with the golem is that it's just not up to snuff when it comes to mining in these fields. There is a couple awesome websites I like to use. One is Regolith, and the other one is the Red Monsters mining sites. Unfortunately, a lot of the information Red Monster used to put out on their mining sites isn't available anymore because they can't get that information. The way the rocks are produced in an area and the way the minerals are produced can't be easily found. They're not in the game files in the same way anymore. So, unfortunately, some of the areas and some of the places in Pyro aren't as well known about what's in them as they are in Stanton. But in Stanton, you can see what planets and what locations have larger or smaller sized rocks. So when you're mining and using a ship like this, you would know which ones to go for. Now I will point out a lot of these rocks I could mine with the golem. They just didn't have the materials that I'm currently looking for. Alright, so this might be my last one on this because we're at 20 minutes of mining. And so far, not much. Except for me flying around chit-chatting. So if I don't find something here, we're going to switch over to the prospector. Corundum, barrel, impossible. Alright, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch out to the prospector. We're going to head back out to mining. And we're We're going to try to find something, because this does not seem to be working for me. I figure if we're going to give the Golem mining a fair chance, we're going to check out those two websites that I was talking about. The Red Monster Gaming, where we have the mining cheat sheets, and here, this is going to show you, if you're actually looking at doing some mining for profit, the value roughly that you can get for the different items. So if you're looking at getting something still around Quantanium and Recite, always pick it up no matter what the density. Terranite, Bexlite, Gold, you're going for low densities, you're still making a profit. Anything in Hephaestonite to Borace, over 20%, you're going to really make a good deal on that. And then you just kind of ignore these things unless it is for something that you need it for. Ice, for instance, being used right now in this event, if you're picking that up, but you're going to pick that up in the Nyx system, totally worth it. Also, looking at, I'm talking about the RF signatures. Like I said, if you're looking for salvage, and that signature shows up as multiples of 2000, these asteroids show up as multiples of these numbers. So one asteroid is 1800, two would be 3600. That's how that would work. So if we're looking for things like Laranite, we're looking for something that is 1950. If we're looking for Borace, which is a good one we're looking for, you're looking at something that comes up as 1920 or 1790. These are the different RF signatures you could be looking for. So that's kind of interesting to look at to try to find those items. So this is actually something I hadn't really looked at when I was doing that. So you can download these cheat sheets. Where is it? Right here. And then you got these images of these four that you can kind of refer to, both in a white version like this or a black version with white text. But if you go over to the ores by location table, it's going to bring you to Regolith, and Regolith is this here. This is an awesome site. You can actually contribute to the site and help people out here. But for data, we're looking at the survey cores, ore types by location, rock types, compositions. So with this, if you're finding a C-type asteroid, it's showing you what tends to be in there. 3% probability on a C-type asteroid of getting Quantanium, and with that, you're getting between 20 and 40%, usually somewhere around 30. So, how do you find those? Bexlite, 20% chance coming in a C-type. Bexlite, only a 3% chance coming into an M-type. Stuff like that. Rock locations, this one is the really cool one here. So you choose where you're mining. So let's say right now I'm at Faithful Dream, which is HURL2. Looking at that, I'm finding lots of E-type asteroids, no I-type, some M-types, lots of P-types, very few C-types. You can look for specific types of stuff you're looking to get. Like I'm trying to find, hold on, rock locations. Where is it? It's not ore types. There is a way to find, there we go. So I'm trying to find specifically if I want to find Borace or Laranite. So let's say I'm looking for a Laranite. Where's the best place to look? In Hurston, mining base, 365 YNZ. Looks like a 23% chance of finding it there. That might be one of the highest places. So maybe I'll go there. But will that have the sizes of asteroids that I need? If I'm looking in towards the Nyx system, I'm finding a little bit of it in Pyro Lagrange 4. So these are all the places you're looking for trying to get to it. So I am near HURL2. It's only really a 12% chance of finding it here. And that's why I'm not finding a lot there. If I'm looking at this place, it's a really good place to get gold, as we've seen, and lots of tungsten, which I don't need. So I'm going to find a location in here that I think I'm going to go to. Around Hurston, mining base 365 seems to be a really good place to go. I don't know if I can easily jump to that, if that's the place I can jump to. As far as the Lagrange points go, HURL3 and L4 seem to be the better ones, but they're not great. But I'm going to look around here, and I'm going to find a place that I'm going to go to. I don't know, because the cheat sheets used to have these sizes of rocks for different areas, and that's not in here anymore. I don't know if that doesn't really exist in the game anymore. Maybe it's switched, or maybe they just don't have that information anymore. But it used to be, if you're looking at getting smaller rocks that you can break easier, you would go to, I think Selin was a good place to go. Aberdeen tended to be a good place to go. Maybe stuff like that isn't really part of it anymore. Also, a good place to mine is the Aran Halo, but the Aran Halo itself, no guarantee to find what you're looking for, and especially for what I'm looking for, there's really not a lot there. So this is the sites to check out. Like I said, Regolith and the Red Monster, both kind of tied together, and you can actually find some great stuff in here. I will go through this maybe another time, but there's things like a tool that you can use to set up multiplayer jobs that are fair and equitable. So the person finding a good source of material and the people working mining and the people flying the ships or owning the ships can do a breakdown about what each person is going to get paid out at the end of the job. I think that is pretty awesome. So, again, check this out. I'm going to go through this, and when I decide where I'm going to mine, we're going to take the golem out again and try our best to see if we can find what we need, which really is borace, laranite, bexylite, and pressurized ice if I was going to Nyx. And actually, if you're in Nyx, pressurized ice is super easy to find because all you need to do is find the I-type asteroid, which is this one here, 1660. So you just put out a ping, aim around, and you're going to find an I-type asteroid. And I believe those are the ones that always have the ice in them. All right, so I'm going to take a look through this, kind of give it a good look, and we're going to head out mining. As I'm in the game, I'm kind of playing around with Regolith a bit, and clicking Advanced Stats gives you the information I was looking for. Cluster size, rocks, clustered surveys, number of people that have been taking part in those surveys. This gives you a lot more information that you might be looking for as far as trying to find the specific sizes of rocks you need and where you're looking at to get this. So looking at cluster size here is giving you like how many rocks are in the area and the size of the rocks, like the range of the rocks from the smaller to larger. So kind of a cool little thing. I just thought I'd kind of add that this site has so much that you can get into, and I think it's pretty awesome. Hey everybody, this is me from the future, about half an hour into the future, in fact, after I stopped recording and said I would just do a little bit of mining. And things weren't making sense to me, and I wasn't really paying attention, and I'm about to make a big mistake, which is dealing with the Ryger versus Vox. I mean, the dyslexia has catched up to me, and also I'm a little bit tired. And so I'm going to point out here the big difference. Vox. Power for the laser, 125. I should look a little earlier where it says extraction. This basically speeds up extracting. It does not give you more power. The Rygers, if I do this, mining laser power, 25. So we have the Ryger here. We have a Ryger here. I'm putting the Rygers back on my Prospector. Yes, I'm going to be using Prospector later in this video, but just before anyone responds to this, man, what a big mistake I made. It was making no sense why I was still having too many rocks that I couldn't crack. That would say impossible when I got closer. They still say impossible. Nothing was changing. Nothing was happening. We're putting this on here. They do stack here, so we now have our Rygers back on. I should have put these on the Golem as well. If you put Rygers, specifically the C3s, which are the biggest ones, on your Golem, you can crack bigger rocks. Like I said, you have to go get those somewhere else. I think Nyx sells them, so you can go buy them there. But I just wasn't, I was confused about why you still had a big charge window in these. Like, why wouldn't I use Vox the whole time? I knew this in the past. It's just, I'm tired, and so I'm not reading as well. So, yeah, put the Rygers back on. Rygers, laser power. Vox, extraction power. Who cares about extraction power? I'm not in a hurry to get this stuff out. Once I crack them, we gotta have the Rygers on. So that's what I did. I fixed those. Yeah, big mistake. Just thought I'd point that out. Alright, back to the video. Using my newfound knowledge, I'm just gonna do a little bit of scanning. So I put out a ping. As you can see, I'm right still next to Faithful Dream. First ping right in front of me, 2,000. So I don't even have to look that up. That is panels. This one here is a ship. I don't know what ship that is. We're gonna move out and away a bit. need some of those clouds, like I just saw. So 4,000, 2,000. For some reason, this is not giving me little clouds. So I'm gonna move a little bit farther away. There's a cloud. This cloud here, 10,000. That is 5 panels. There's so many panels around here. 4,900. Okay, so 4,900 could be multiple. And by the way, if you're wondering where I'm looking, it's right here. You can see where my mouse is. 4,900 could be multiple, because I don't see, if I look at my list here, signals that show up that much. So I'd have to divide specific signals into those amounts. This one here, all those aren't showing up. A lot of those aren't showing up. 4,850. 14,250. So that is a lot of signals all in one spot. So I feel like this is going to be potentially what I'm looking for. I'm going to look for C-type asteroids. Those have a fairly high chance of getting Bexalite in them. Maybe I'm going to go for Bexalite with this setup and see what I can do. If I'm not going to find a lot here, I think it was HORL 5 might have been the one that seemed to be doing okay. So now that I'm heading towards this, I'm going to go back in my mining mode. I'm hoping this is multiple asteroids, and that's what that signal showed me. And there we go. There's a number of signals all showing up at one time. They're all about 5 kilometers away. If they're C-type, even better. They're P-type. So looking at P-type, I'll quickly tab away. Bexalite 20% chance on that. So let's give this a go and see what might be in here. Bex will be one of the things that I can sell to get this done. So learning how to mine specifically what you're looking for. I haven't really used RF recently, and I know there has been some changes, but excuse me, learning both primary and secondaries. So the secondary materials that are in specific asteroids will help you. Some of them clump together more than others. Some of them will really be a lot easier to crack than others. But now that I have these 2 Vox mineable Vox modules to stay on here, they are going to stack, and you can see that my power will go up, the resistance will go down, instability. So I'm getting a little bit of optimal rate, so the speed that goes up, those are going to change, but the power is going to change as well based on those 2 Vox modules. So they're going to help me out with these rocks, assuming that they have Bexalite. So first one first, that one I don't even need to crack. It's purple. It's got Laranite, which I do need also, so might as well just grab that. Oh, that is extraction mode. Okay, just making sure. The extraction distance of this laser beam seems really short. I still have aluminum and inerted here. I must not have sold it. Okay, so let's look at this one. Go back into cracking mode. This one's already been cracked also. Gold. I mean, we could sell that for profit if we want, but we're not going to do that right now. But it's free money sitting right there, so. So a lot of this I do feel is that people have been breaking these asteroids. Terranite. I don't need Terranite. We're going to keep moving. So I'm going to go fly around here for a bit, try to find something that is useful to me. 4,900. We can go check that one out. And if I find some Bexalite and get some, I'll show you. If not, we're going to be heading to a new location. Literally, the next asteroid that I checked out was this one. Easy to crack, 50% Laranite. So we're going to crack this one for sure. So we're going to get close. We're going to mouse wheel up to get our power in there. But once it starts moving, we're going to use the distance of our ship from the asteroid to control the power. It's a little more fine in that motor control than using the mouse wheel and controlling the the mining power. So we're letting it go up here. And look at how wide that window is. So this is going to be pretty awesome for us. So we're going to move a little closer. And then we're going to back off. Oh, and see, now we had to... Oh, that is powering up way more than I thought it would. We're going to back away. Now we're going to get closer, and we're going to just switch to extraction mode, which if you don't know is left alt, left mouse. I had to think about that for a second. Okay, so that's 93% laranite on that one. So let's just start extracting that. I'm not used to this because this is like I'm not used to having the mining head above me as opposed to below. So this is kind of a weird thing to get used to. But we got 33% laranite here. We'll grab that. %. Don't know if we necessarily need that, but if we were getting close to being full, I'd say maybe, but if we're going to try to maybe find some other asteroids, maybe we'll kind of skip on that one. Aluminum, we're going to skip entirely. And all mining heads now, 81% for sure. If we look in the bottom left corner of the screen by the Pittman mining laser, it says inert material 60. All mining heads now basically filter out inert materials, at least to some degree. That's something that's changed a while back, and I think it's a pretty cool change. M-type I don't need. If I look at M-type, if I tab over to the screen here, like, it doesn't have laranite, and Bexlite's only 3%, so I'm not going to bother. I'm looking for C, E, and Q. Those are the main types that I'm going for. So we're going to just keep looking around, finding some of these other asteroids around here. We're trying to find one that is what we need. But so far, we're doing pretty good. This is already an improvement over my first foray with this golem in HORL2. So maybe I'll stick around here for a while. If I can get a bunch of laranite and a bunch of Bexlite, we're looking pretty good. So this is a already cracked rock with 30%, or 29.05 technically, Bexlite. Some corundum in there, which you don't really need, but might as well grab that. So we got some Bexlite there. We got almost 3 SU of Bexlite with that. So a little bit of a freebie while we're flying around. All right, cool. Woo! Look at this cluster. There's more nearby, but we got a bunch of M-types. Now, I don't think I'll get what I want from M-types because really, Bexlite 3% chance. Really, gold seems to be the big one on here. So there's a good chance that these are going to be all full of gold. But laranite I don't even see showing up on the survey core. So we'll scan them just because there's a bunch here. You never know what we're going to find. But if we find a bunch of gold, we can just use it for money, I guess, to pay for fuel. But we are going to sell the corundum and aluminum. But yeah, corundum on that, which is normally a 20% chance on these, so that makes sense. All the asteroids are different. If you point at an asteroid and over here it says 100% inert, scan it. That's usually kind of an issue. Terranite, which is a 4% chance on these, so that's kind of interesting. 4% based on how many people have scanned these types of asteroid and entered the information, which looks like 107 asteroids have been done that. Agricium is a really cool one to find. 57%. Yeah, I'm not really surprised. So I'm not really finding what I want in these, but it's pretty cool just to find big hunks of asteroid. If I am out mining, that's what I love. I love to just kind of find a cool asteroid. This is what I really am excited about with ships like the Arasta or eventually the Orion. It's just spending a day just finding rocks, you know, going out and munching them up and refining them. That is going to be the big money maker. It's not going to be finding Quantanium. It's not going to be finding gold. It's going to be finding just volume and finding the cool stuff and just kind of exploring, which I think is going to be super fun. Oh, there is a bunch here over as well. So let's look at these. Really, the next rock that is kind of okay that I find, I'm going to just grab and I'm going to bring it back to Faithful Dream. We're going to do a little bit of refining. But we've got lots of signals in here. I think these are panels because they haven't shown up yet. Yeah. Usually, if you're like less than 2 kilometers away and something's not showing up, it's panels. Okay, I'm going to keep looking, but I will see you guys in the refinery. This will be the last one for this run. We're going to bump our power up to about maybe 60. Yes, there we go. We're going to start cracking this rock here. 41% laranite, so if I can find a hunk with a good percentage in it once I break this, I'm going to just fill up the last 8 SU-ish, 7.5 that I have in this ship. And then we're going to head back and we're going to refine this. But laranite has been the one I've been finding this time. So I think the golem will work pretty well for people wanting to do this last stage. But I'm going to switch over to the prospector after this run because there is a little trick with the prospector which makes it a little bit better in my opinion for mining. Okay, so we got that off. We're going to look for any that are the highest value. So we'll do these scans. Anything's 100, we'll grab it. Otherwise, we'll keep scanning. 35%. Nothing there. $100%. Let's grab that. We're already up to like 14.75 SU of laranite. Now that is raw material. We're going to have less when we refine, especially since HRL2 I don't think has any bonuses. It might actually have a negative for refining some of these materials. But we're still going to be doing okay. 100% laranite, and that might be it. There you go, we're full. So we're going to go into our jump mode. And where is the station? Alright, so if you can't find the station, sometimes looking around like this makes it easier. But we might have flown quite a distance away that we can't see the ring of lights anymore. So, oh, there it is. Okay. So if that happens though, push F12, zoom out a bit so we can do this until they fix where we start somehow zoomed in on the map. Type in the name of your station, which for me is Dream, because it's Faithful Dream, and that will give you the mark there. But we don't need it because we just saw, although I've already lost it. Where is it? There it is. So we're going to put the mining head away, and we're going to go to Faithful Dream. We're going to fly back. This will get us about 50 kilometers closer. And then we're going to go land. Now, I'm set up at Faithful Dream. Set up wherever you like, but definitely set up in one of the mining refining stations and set your spawn there. That way, you can always get back there if there's an incident. And think about where you want to sell. So, if I want to sell at normally Tessa Spaceport or Rikers, this is an ideal place. With the missions that we're doing, I think New Babbage might be where you're bringing some of these items, so maybe it's better to set up closer to there. But it's, again, where you're finding the highest percentage of what you want. Alright, this looks like one of the interior hangars, so we're going to go over the top just because... Why not? Over the top. That's an old one. I haven't seen that movie in a long time. Some good old arm wrestling action. Alright, we're gonna... Did you know what was on TV a moment ago? Speed. How old is that movie? And Salt, for some weird reason, they decided to show that. Alright. I don't think I've ever actually watched Speed in its entirety. I know I definitely have not seen Speed 2. I'd maybe watch it. If only for Sandra Bullock, but... Alright, let's get in here. Alright, we're gonna go in here, we're gonna land. We need our landing gear down. Why isn't my landing gear going down? Oh. There we go. There we go.
Landing complete. Have a pleasant stay.
There we go. Beautiful landing. Now to refine, I'll kind of go through the refining process. There's two things you need to do. One is you have to have your things stored. I'm finding that if the ship is not stored, it's not going to work. You could take the bags off by unlocking ports and putting them in a cargo elevator, dropping them down, putting new ones on, going mining, and then refine them all at once. I'm not going to bother doing that. But we're going to store our ship. We're going to store the Golem, which we're going to have to anyways because we're going to take out the Prospector anyways. So we're going to store this. Then we're going to head to the refinery deck. Get ourselves some cruise while we're there. Get ourselves a bit of a drink. It said it was called, and then it took it. There we go. Go to the lobby. Go to the lobby. This server is running super smoothly. Bueller? Bueller? Alright. Luckily there's no Quantanium in that, and it's already stored, so it's not going to be a big issue, even if there was. But I think we're about to have a server error. I will join you again. There we go. I'll join you again in the refinery when this is finally resolved. Just wait this out if this happens. It'll eventually fix itself. Trust me, having been around since the day of 30k errors, this is preferable. And hopefully they'll just get better. But right now, we'll wait. Let's go to the refinery. Let's go to the refinery. Let's go to the refinery and get ourselves a snack of delicious cruise. Not red cruise though. Why does nowhere in the verse sell red cruise? It's the best cruise. Who wants Lux when they could have Pulse? Really? I mean, let's be honest about it. Wow, those refinery sounds seem really loud. Okay, first things first. Get some cruise. We don't need it yet, but I mean, we always need cruise, right? Get 11 of those, which is a CIG dozen as opposed to a baker's dozen. You always get one less. All right, let's go up here. First things first. Go to a refinery terminal. And we're going to begin, and we're going to select our Golem. I almost checked Prospector. That would have really messed me up. Alright, so we have our Bexlite. We're going to get that. We have our Laranite. We're going to get that. We could refine some other stuff, but we're not going to. And we're going to use Dinix. That's what I always use. Get a quote. It's going to take 3 3/4 hours, and it's going to cost me 1,100. Not bad. I'm going to say confirm. That's going to start to work. Now, here's what is different. Here's what's changed. I'm going to show you something. So we're going to go here. We're going to go back into the refinement center. And we have this job working. Let's check the Drake Golem. Let's set up a work order. We could now refine the corundum or refine the aluminum. We could set up multiple individual work orders. So if you wanted to speed up a specific thing, like I wanted to get the Laranite fast, I could set up a Laranite order on its own and then do the Bexlite. That's something that never used to happen, and I think it is awesome that it happens now. The difference, though, is that as opposed to choosing what you want to refine and losing everything else, which is what used to happen, you choose what you want to refine and everything else stays in your ship. So if you're used to the old style of mining, you haven't mined in a while, you're going to head back out, you're going to go try to get something else, and suddenly realize that 30% of your ship is already full, which is kind of annoying. So go over here choose that ship, which is the Golem. There it is. And we can sell the aluminum for 2.5 grand. We can sell the corundum for 2.5 grand. Even the inert materials is going to get us 5 UEC. So we're making about 5 grand right there. Sell to refinery. Got it. It does show you the other stuff in the ship, which isn't great. Hydrogen fuel, quantum fuel. It shows you that, but it does not actually sell it. So don't worry about accidentally selling all the fuel in your ship. I'm going to make sure my prospector is empty, and it is not. It's got corundum, it's got tungsten, and it's got inert materials. I'm going to sell that as well. And before I do, wait a minute. I'm going to show you, if you look at this here, no, it's not actually going to show it there, so I'm going to keep going. Got it. It doesn't show there, but the amount of space, cargo space, in the prospector is a lot bigger than a standard prospector, and that's why I'm going to go use it. So not only do I have the Helix on there and the Rigers, which I like because they give the power, although they don't keep the window big like what I just had with the what was on mine? What were those? I've already forgotten the name. Started with an H. Oh, it wasn't HV. Vox. Unlike the Vox, the Rigers do produce a smaller charge window. But the difference is, we can look at them here to kind of explain the difference between the two. If I go back to the Golem, the Vox on them give you 125% laser power, and a charge rate is slowed down. Or if I go to the Prospector, the Rigers on there, they give you 125%, and the charge window goes down. So you either have a smaller charge window or a slower charge rate. Honestly, thinking about it, there's really not a downside to either, because if the charge window is big, I kind of maybe, let's do something different. Let's change up my setup for the Prospector. So I'm going to go and take one of those Golem. I might as well take both of the both of these off of the Golem, because this is, I believe, the one that is rental. Basically part of the free fly. So I'm going to leave that off because I'll lose them if I don't. I'm going to take one of the Rigers off. Why is that not showing up? Why is... Interesting. I thought that the Rigers were on there. They must be on a different ship. Maybe they're on the other Golem. Well, okay, we'll put the Vox on here. So, alright. Can I only put one Vox on here? This is confusing me. Now it's showing me having a Riger on there. There we go. Having a little bit of issues here. A little bit of server issues still. I mean, we just did have a server error. We put the Vox on there. I'm going to try this out. I've been always a Riger guy, but maybe the Vox is the way to go. It's a little bit slower to fill up the charge, but if the window isn't a narrow sliver, which I'm used to, maybe it's worth it. All right, I'm going to do a little bit of mining, but I'm going to show you the Prospector before I do mining. I'm not going to take you out with me to do all that mining. I'm just going to do it off camera, but I'll show you the changes I made to the Prospector. So in the refinery deck that I was just at, what you can do is you can buy more pods. So with the Prospector, you can take the pods off, just like the Golem. You can take the, I guess it's still a pod, the crate underneath it off, and then switch them out, and then put new ones in, and that way you can just go out and mine and then refine all at once. You can also buy mole pods, so the Argo mole pods. They fit on a Prospector, but they increase the size from 32 to 48 SCU. To do that, what you need to do is you need to get into your Prospector, you need to sit in the seat and right Alt K will unlock your ports. Is it K? Now I'm not sure. Oh. Okay. So, did you see that? Did you see that my ship was bouncing around on its side? That's an issue with this server. And so, that can, and possibly has, destroyed my prospector. But, maybe not. Misc prospector store. We're good. Okay. So we stored it. It's stored. We're going to go back to our hangar. Don't try to store it from the hangar. Get out of there as soon as possible. Or a better thing, and what I almost did and what I should have done, call your ship, get it out, store it, then go to your hangar, call it out again. It shouldn't be something we have to do, but it is something we have to do. So we're going to call out the prospector. Call it out. So get in your ship, unlock the ports. Once the ports are unlocked, get out of your ship. You can pull the bags off then, store them, pull in the Argo bags, which I'm pretty sure is what I have on this ship currently. And then you're good to go. As long as you don't claim your ship, you have increased the storage capacity of your ship. So we'll check it once it's out, see if it has that storage capacity. But overall, my plan is to just get as much of the goods as I can over the next day or so. And then, once I have them, I'm going to look at the contracts. So, for instance, let's say I'm finding Bexylate. So I'm going to go to the priority missions for the collect missions. This one here says Laranite. This one here says Borace. Bexylate. So Bexylate here, all the Bexylate for the entirety of this event is going to New Babbage, where all the Borace, Laranite, I should say, is going to Tisa, and all the Borace is going to Tisa as well. So if you have Borace and Laranite, bring it all to Tisa Spaceport. You got Bexylate, you're bringing it to New Babbage. That's what you're doing. You're bringing it all there. In one ship, bring it all there and store it. Once it's stored, you're pretty much done the hard work as far as this loop is concerned. You just need to basically take one of those missions, accept it, bring the Borace up, or the Laranite up, or the Bexylate up, drop it back down, mission complete. Take the same mission again, bring it up, drop it down, mission complete. We're just going to basically use all of our goods that we've gathered. And these are small missions. Do the small ones, 3 or 4 at a time. And you're going to start getting, I think, anywhere between 325 to 375 points per on doing that. So about 100 points per SU, which is pretty good. So if we look here, if I'm going to put on the mining, there you go. If we look here, normally this is 30, come on, move. There we go. Normally this is 32 SU of cargo space on a prospector. We have 48 because we have the Argo bags on there. Really worth it to do that. So I'm going to head out, do a little bit of mining on my own, and hopefully everyone here is enjoying the event, enjoying this series of videos. We're nearing the end, which I'm kind of excited about. Because then I'm going to try some of the new stuff, like those new salvage missions. Anything else you want me to check out? Anything else you want me to try? Let me know. Alright, I'm going to do a little bit of mining, and hopefully we do okay. This has shocked me. I can't remember the last time I found a ship just floating in space. Super rare, at least as far as I'm concerned. I haven't really found them. So we've got ourselves an 890 jump. If I had a salvage ship, this would be awesome. If I could get the components out of here, which I can't. But look at this. I'm going to scan it. There you go. Let's scan this ship. We're not going to find anything in it, really, that we need. I don't think there's any cargo in here. And even if there was, I can't, no. Well, maybe it needs more scanning. But, like, look at it. It's an 890. That's cool. Yeah, I can't remember the last time I found an 890, so I decided to kind of point that out. That's really neat that that's there. Maybe they've added them back in. I honestly, it's been many patch cycles since I last found a ship out in the wilderness. And this one, I found. I don't know what this is. Let's go there. All right. So I just thought I'd show you that. That is something really cool. Makes me kind of hopeful that maybe there's more ships to salvage back in the verse. But 890s. I remember when salvage first came out. 890s were all over, to the point where it was ridiculous. I'm kind of glad that you'd go to the Air and Halo and you'd find a bunch of 890s all over the place. I'm glad that's no longer the case, but it'd be kind of cool. E-type, those are good. For the record, I'm looking at C, P, and Q type asteroids being my preference, and E-type, anything else I've been kind of ignoring. But let's check these out and see what they're like. Yeah, 890 in the wild. Pretty neat. Back to mining. Haven't found anything yet, but I just started. You can see I'm not that far from the station. You can see the lights to the station there, so. This is an example of an asteroid that says inert materials, right there. Until it scans, now we got Laranite. That's why you scan the inert material asteroids. I'm not sure what causes them to show up like that sometimes, but always worth it to scan them. Look at that, almost 2 SU of Laranite. Scan the materials. Make sure it actually tells you what they are. You're never really going to find 100% inert asteroids. Hello everybody, just finishing up editing here. This is where I'm ending. You can see here we're at about an hour into the video and we're right near the end. This was going to end up being a 2-hour video. I'm going to cut this in half and make it into 2 parts. Yes, I know. While doing this editing, this whole part of me just not being able to read, part of that is just being really tired, part of that is being distracted, part of that is the dyslexia. But man, like I knew in the past, Rigers are the way to go. Vox, there was a reason I never used them. Who cares about extraction speed? Really, it's not that slow. Really, to me, it's not a great trade-off. If you're using a ship with multiple turrets and multiple people, maybe if someone's dedicated on sucking things in, but they're still going to be faster than the person breaking and cracking things. So I don't know why the Vox is really there. There's really no benefit I see for people using the Vox. Maybe other people like them. Maybe other people use them. But I certainly made a mistake just not paying attention to the words extraction versus laser. Don't make that mistake. But we're going to switch things up a bit here. I did fix that right after this point of me mining. The first time I came back with some goods is when I ended up having the Rigers put back onto the Prospector, and I ended up getting everything I needed for that. We're actually really good on that regard, but I didn't record all those mining because it's going to just be too long. I'm going to do something a little bit different in part 2, which is recorded, which is going to be starting to be put together right now and hopefully come out the same day that this is, but a little bit later. And that will be on the other way, the easy way, the buy it yourself way. It's still solo, but instead of going mining, where you can go and buy what you need and kind of finish it that way. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to put that out as a separate part. I just thought I'd let you know this is where I'm breaking it in half. All right. Hopefully this has been helpful. Hopefully you've been enjoying this series. I've kind of been enjoying doing this, but we're looking forward to getting to the end of this. A little bit of a spoiler alert is that while I'm editing these, I've actually finished. I've actually managed to complete all the Alliance Aid missions, so success is coming up soon. All right. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe to the video. Leave me a comment below. I've asked a few questions here, including what you're thinking of doing as far as the Alliance Aid missions. I'd love to hear from you. I always love to hear from you. Goodbye, everybody, and I hope to see you soon in the verse.